Any names, places, or likenesses mentioned are used for storytelling purposes and may be fictional or speculative. The opinions expressed by guests are their own and do not reflect those of Cosmic Crumbs or its hosts. No guarantees are made regarding the accuracy of any stories discussed, and we are not responsible for how this content is interpreted or used. This show contains vulgar language and sometimes graphic material. Viewer discretion is advised.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Big CC, the Cosmic Crumbs podcast. I'm your host, and today we've got some crazy recipes. We've got some even crazier stories. It should be cool. I'm trying to figure out a second camera angle, and I can't quite get it right, but that's why I'm a little late. I was fumbling around. I've got another camera because I feel like when I'm reading stories that I'm not really like looking at the camera anymore, but I think I've got a way that I can at least be looking at the camera when we're reading. My problem is I can't really see the chat. Hey, Landa, welcome. But yeah, we've got some cool stories. Morgana actually submitted a recipe, so that will be in the spam mail. And if you're out there and don't know what the spam mail is, I've got it up. Every week, you get to choose our next adventure. You get to share your story, share your recipes, and get on the... Oh, no. That's not good, Landa. That is not good at all. Let me check my camera here. Well, is that any better, Landa? Check. I don't know if that's any better or not. It's hard because I'm by myself. I'll have to rely on you. If it sounded weird, I'll try a different one. Okay. Let's see. Sounds like I'm in a tunnel, you said. Is that any better? Well, yeah, no, I do want to know if it's messed up. I may need to regroup. All these camera settings might be messing with me tonight. But let's see. I'll try one more thing here before we... Let's see. Output. Yeah, that's still not good. Input. What about now? Is that any better? Trying to get... Sorry, everybody. I'm having some technical difficulties tonight. I'm trying to get the audio straightened out here. Let me know if that's... Okay, same. What about now? Hello. If that's still low, I may have to regroup. Yeah, I don't know what could be going on, actually. Well, if it's not terrible, I'll try to at least continue on. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. My dude that usually runs audio checks with me, he... Oh, you know what? I think I found the issue. Hang on. Bear with me. Is that any better? Is that any better, Landa? Okay, good deal. Yeah, I don't know what is going on with my stuff, but it is awful today for some reason. Couldn't get the second camera angle working, microphone all messed up, just goofball activities. It must be a retrograde or something. It's just been one thing after another this week. But I'll start from the beginning. Morgana submitted a recipe that will be in the spam mail this week. And if you don't know what the spam mail is, you can come to our link tree, Cosmic Crumbs with a 0 instead of an O, and get on the mailing list. Her recipe is for a queso, but it is a cottage cheese based recipe. So it's a high protein recipe. I'm not going to spoil it because that's what the mailing list is for. But I am going to tell people whenever we get new submissions. But got some cool recipes this week. Hopefully I didn't screw up the audio while I was trying to mess with the microphone. But tell me if you can hear this, Landa.
Whatever the top comment is, and today you chose Hungary's most iconic street food, langos, which I believe this comment is the Slovakian term, langos. Slightly different pronunciation, I'm sure I'm not doing a great job, but both words refer to the same dish, which has Hungarian origins. We're talking 1500s rural Hungary. Ovens were heated with wood, and before the main loaves would go in, bakers would tear off a piece of dough, flatten it, and bake it right at the front of the oven. It would come out kind of charred, soft on the inside, and they would rub it with garlic and fat and eat it immediately. That is the direct ancestor of modern langos. But in the 1800s, oil becomes more available. So frying becomes more practical, it's faster, the outside of the dough is able to become really crispy, and now we're starting to get to more of a modern langos. In the mid-1900s, it becomes really popular, especially with the toppings. The classic combo being garlic oil, sour cream, and grated cheese. Apparently, it's a beach food. I don't know about going to the beach after eating one of these, but it is delicious. Hungary's really teaching me that I'm not being creative enough with how I use sour cream. And next time I want to do a sweet version, so let me know what the best one is in the comments.
I mean, that's a simple bread, but to me, this looked good, so I wanted to bring it. We haven't had any bread recipes in a while, so I brought two. We've got this one and a croissant recipe. The croissant actually looks killer too. I'm not sure where it's at in our lineup of things, but I'm a sucker for simple bread stuff. I love it. You know, my wife makes a lot of simple bread recipes and they turn out killer. I can bake some stuff, but you know, sometimes I get impatient with bread making, especially it just all the proofing and patience required is just not my best cup of tea. But yeah, I mean, some of these, like these ones, especially Landa, they're easy. The croissant recipe looks very easy and it doesn't require a ton of stuff. But let's see what we got next here. Salsa Verde. I love this dude. This is Arnie Tex. He is a barbecuer with a twist. Like he does as his name would suggest, he's from Texas, but he also does a ton of like Southwest Tex-Mex type recipes that, you know, he's not just giving you smoked barbecue. He's always giving you a sauce to go with it and stuff. But he's the guy that we watched this distinct between the peppers and stuff the other day. But
Salsa verde.
This looks awesome.
With our carnitas today. I'm going to drop a few tomatillos in here. My water's already starting to boil.
I wish I had some carnitas.
And I'm going to drop a jalapeno and 2 serranos, an onion, and away we go. I also have 2 garlics that I'm going to use in here, but y'all know, if you've been with me for a while, I always drop the garlic at the very end. Just basically blanch it. I don't want to take away that strong garlic flavor because I love garlic. Okay, we've got our tomatillos all boiled up. We've got our jalapenos, our onions. I went ahead and dropped my garlic in there too. The jalapeno and the serranos are perfect. I like to leave those in the water a little bit longer. We might need just a little bit of water.
Yeah, his food has to be killer.
Water in here, so I'm gonna drop just maybe about a 1/4 cup. We're also going to squeeze a little bit of lime into here while we're at it. You always want a good dose of salt in your salsas, So we're going to use about 2 teaspoons of OG, that perfect blend of salt, pepper, garlic. We're going to do about a handful of cilantro. We're also going to drop a half an avocado in here, at least. This is going to be really creamy, really delicious. Give it a couple of pulses. Here we go. Now, when you do a taqueria style salsa, you usually have to add a little bit of oil. Today we have avocado, which is full of oil. We didn't need any oil because we've got the natural avocado oil in there. What I'm missing is a chip so I can see if it needs any salt or any other things. It's coming. Chips. All right. Somebody brought me chips. Thank you. Ooh, look at that. Nice and creamy. Wow.
It does look good.
Oh, baby. Oh, man. That's perfect. This is as good as it gets. This is a perfect salsa verde with avocado.
The avocado is what really surprised me about this. I really don't eat salsa a lot anymore, but if I were going to eat a salsa, it would be something like this with maybe an avocado base, more like guacamole. I'm a big guacamole fan, but you know, can't really do the tomatoes anymore. This looks killer, and the whole recipe. Well, I mean, it's self-explanatory, but the whole recipe's in here. That would be amazing with chicken enchiladas, actually. I agree, Landa.
Every week I spend...
Oh, okay. So this is a chicken meal prep. You know, every week I try to bring a couple of semi-healthy recipes. This dude is just making chicken sandwiches that he can pull out of his freezer and have for meal prep. And it's supposed to be like a Popeyes-ish imitation chicken sandwich. But the sauce and stuff looks really good, in my opinion.
Spend 1 hour doing one single thing so I never have to buy food or go to the store during the week. When I was younger, I used to go to Dave's Hot Chicken all the time with my friends. And every time we'd all get Nashville hot chicken sandwich, which were nice. But at the time, my friends and I all looked like this. And nobody told us we could start looking like this if we just meal prepped our own healthier chicken sandwiches at home. Because we never realized the Dave's Hot Chicken ones have horrible ingredients and well over 1,000 calories each, making it impossible to reach our goal. Not to mention, they're getting way too expensive.
I like the pickle to chicken ratio on that.
Well, each of these only has 500 calories, 50 grams of protein, and costs $3.10. So every weekend, my friends and I spend an hour making 10 non-deep fried, healthier Nashville hot sandwiches. And if you want to learn how to fast track your weight loss in 2026, my meal plans are linked in my bio.
I think that's a cool looking sandwich. You know, I've done air fryer chicken a bunch, air fryer chicken sandwiches. This is one of the better ones I've seen, but I will say you definitely have to have a really good air fryer to get these kind of results. It's not just as easy as breading your chicken and throwing it in. If you don't have a really, really good air fryer, it's still going to be soggy from experience. But yeah, the chicken sandwich, that's a go for me. That'll be in there. And all the ingredients are in here. And that was from Noah Perlo Fit.
These tacos are
these are semi-healthy, but this is a Big Mac cheese pickle taco. And the macros aren't bad. Look at the macros. 130 calories, you're getting 22 G's of protein.
These tacos are a pickle hater's worst nightmare, but if you do like them, I am about to change your life because these have to be in the top 3 best things I have ever made. They're Big Mac smash tacos with a pickle and cheese tortilla, so they are straight protein. 130 calories with 22 grams of protein is absolutely nuts. Not only does the pickle and cheese tortilla add protein and make this recipe way more fun, it also takes away the carbs, so we're able to have more fries on the side. So that is a huge win for me. But if you think eating healthier is boring, just try some of my recipes because they will change your life.
Those do
These
look good.
tacos are a
Those look good to me. I would give those a run. I wouldn't make them just because I know how much work it is to do the cheese that way. I can never get it right, even in a hot pan, even on a griddle. It's always getting out of control, burning the cheese and stuff. But if you made them, I would try them. I just am not going to do it myself because it's a lot of effort. Let's see. Oh, here's the other bread recipe, Landa. This looks super easy if you're into bread. Look at that.
Cold water in and mix. Nice. You just have to keep going. You can tell it's not there yet. Not bad. We're shaping it. Grab one, count, and pull. Butter block.
Can't go wrong. The butter to dough ratio is on point.
Hey, no tools.
You're supposed to give one last heavy spread, so easy, mild and funky. So I'm gonna give it a little flip. Wow, thank you, little. And there you have it. I even made a mini one. Salt bread with nothing but a fork and a scale.
The salt bread looks good to me. I would give that recipe a go. I may see if my wife will give those a run.
I'm going to bet.
Okay, this is crazy. The next one. This is a golden lasagna. And yeah, Landa, I agree. It seems simple enough, like you could do it while you're watching TV or something. Like you're not having to constantly monitor. So yeah, I'll have that one in the email later. This is a golden lasagna, and I was iffy about it. I'm still iffy about it. I don't know if I would make this one, but you tell me what you think.
That most people have never seen this before. This is a golden lasagna, and it was the lightest, most ethereal, lush.
The problem is it looks magnificent, but the ingredients to me do not look magnificent.
Layers of goodness I have had in a very long time. It was absolutely mind-blowing.
Have a bag of carrots lurking in your...
Full stop. When you're pulling out a bag of carrots for lasagna, that's where they lost me. It looks great. I'm not hating, but as soon as I saw this bag of carrots, I'm like, nope.
Fridge and you don't know what to do with them, this is it.
And I like carrots.
You don't even need to peel them, just cut them into kind of smallish chunks. Now, slice up an onion, rough chop.
Now add in some young garlic. If you don't have that, use regular. Some fresh thyme, a generous pinch of salt, and olive oil. Now I'm going to add in a little vinegar and a little bit of vegetable stock. Cover. Cook on medium until the...
Look at this kettle, though. Bowl, pan? What would you call that? Kettle bowl pan? Yeah, it doesn't look like lasagna.
Carrots are completely soft. Now you're going to make a bechamel. Cook
Pot?
the flour for a couple minutes, then add in the milk. While that
I guess it's a pot, but the top looks weird.
cooks, you're going to grind up some Parmigiano Reggiano. After about 10 minutes, this is what you're left with. Season with salt. Handful of the Parmigiano. This is the consistency. This is now done. You can see most of the liquid's gone. Give it a blend. And this is what we're left with after it's blended. Now it's
That just don't look good to me.
an assembly job. So in with some bechamel, some of the carrot, going down with a sheet of fresh pasta that I've just cut to size, more bechamel, and just keep layering.
So she's just doing that over
Going
and over
in
again.
with some absolutely stunning. I'm gonna finish it with a couple of chopped chives.
Again, it doesn't look bad, but maybe a Dutch oven. Yeah, that maybe is what it was. It doesn't look bad. The presentation on this dish is insane, but when I'm thinking about that yellow sauce, like in my mind, when I first saw this, I'm like, ooh, that's going to be cheesy and great and just a killer lasagna that's not, a traditional red sauce. But then she whips out the carrots and all the other stuff and makes like a consistency that looks like baby food. And I'm just completely checked out. So I'll have this. If it looks good to you, this will be in the email, but this is a no-go for me, I think.
Guys, I think I just made the...
This is definitely a go for me. This is a breakfast sandwich that looks insane.
Guys, I think I just made the best breakfast sandwich that I've ever had using those butter swim biscuits that I've been obsessing over with crunchy candied bacon, fluffy egg squares, and Gwyneth Paltrow's favorite cheese. 10 out of 10. You're going to love.
So I think, so she's got the full biscuit recipe, the full egg recipe, the bacon recipe, all the stuff, and the instructions. So this is Amelia is not a chef. So very short video. However, it's got everything you
Guys,
need.
I think I just made the best breakfast sandwich that I've ever had using those.
Yeah, those swim biscuits, we make them. They're amazing. So I would fully recommend
those butter swim biscuits that I've been obsessing over with crunchy candy.
Look at that. At first I thought this was tofu. This is an egg square that she's making. So, I'm excited about that too. But anywho, we'll move on. The breakfast sandwich, the swim biscuit recipe will be in your email.
Hey, here are my professional.
Okay. This is one that I think everybody needs to know. Anybody who cooks needs to know this. How to make a chicken breast that ain't dry. It's hard to do. Sometimes I feel like if you cook chicken breast 1 degree over, it's ruined. Like dry as the desert. But I trust this dude. This is every day is feast day. He makes a lot of content and has a lot of good information.
Tips to perfectly cook a chicken breast. But first, I want to show you the most delicious thing you can do with chicken stock. So you're going to place it into a pan. Then you're going to add some Parmesan cheese rinds. I have Parmesan and Grana Padano. I usually keep a little collection of rinds like this in my freezer. Now we're just going to place this over a medium burner and reduce this by half. And to keep things simple, we're going to season both sides of our chicken breast with kosher salt and black pepper. But while your Parmesan broth is reducing, you're going to preheat your pan over medium to high heat. A couple tablespoons of oil. Then once your oil looks all shimmery and hot, you're going to lay your chicken breast. There's one side like this. The other side is like this. You're going to put this side down first. You want it to sizzle right away. If it doesn't, you're going to lift this back up and start over when it does. Now, you don't need your pan screaming hot. You just need it hot enough so this sizzles the whole time it's in the pan. But after about 3 to 4 minutes, it's going to look like this. You can go darker if you want, but we're good right here. You're going to flip your piece of chicken. It's going straight in a 400-degree oven. But once your stock has reduced all the way by half, maybe even a little bit more, your Parmesan rinds will be nice and soft and chewy. You can even eat them if you want. You're going to turn the heat off. And
The pretty side down.
A little sprig of thyme. This is going to give us more fresh, sort of fruity thyme flavors instead of that all-day cooked thyme flavor. Now, when you cook in a restaurant that serves chicken, you know when it's done just by touching it. But since you don't, you're going to rely on your meat thermometer. And we're looking for a temperature of 155 degrees Fahrenheit.
I would go to 160.
Scared of 155, you can go to 160, but don't go any higher. But while your chicken rests for a few minutes, we do not want to waste this. So you want to wipe out any excess oil, turn your burner on medium, and you're going to add your beautiful Parmesan broth to pick up all this golden fond. But while we reduce this just slightly and we use it to scrape up our brown bits, we can talk about the safe temperatures of chicken. Because we all know that 165 degrees is the magic number for salmonella. But even
I could take it or leave it.
155 degrees Fahrenheit, I think it's less than 2 minutes, disinfects the same way as 165 degrees does instantly. And since we're letting our chicken rest, it's going to continue to cook. We want to just barely get to that 160 to 165 temperature. Even I like to eat it at 155. But we don't want to hit 165 and then skyrocket way above 165. You end up with dry chicken. But our chicken has had a chance to rest for a few minutes. It's fully cooked, and it's juicing all over the place. Promise me you'll never eat dry chicken ever again. Hey.
I would prefer not to. It's so easy to mess that up, though. Like you're talking 30 seconds to screw up a chicken breast. if you're in a screaming hot pan or oven, something like that. But this dude never steers you wrong. So that'll be in there. We got a couple left. Okay. This is the big back recipe, one of them of the day. This is a cornbread crusted mac and cheese. He poured the sauce over the chicken, I think, after he plated it. Like he cut it up and then showed you the inside. And then I think at the end, he plates it and put the sauce over the chicken. It's just a basic. I feel like that, probably if you're ordering a chicken breast at like a restaurant or something, that might be good if you've got other sides. But if you're just making chicken at home, I don't think the sauce was completely necessary. He's just using spare cheese parts, it looked like. So the big back recipe of the day is cornbread crusted mac and cheese. Woo. Oh, maybe I need to mute this one. Don't want to get assassinated for copyright strike. I'm going to have to do that on the next one too. So he's got all the Jiffy mix, the milk, the egg, sauteed jalapeno, cheese, which is essential for macaroni and cheese. Pretty good blend. A little bit of butter, paprika, seasonings, mustard for umami, some heavy cream, and then your cheese. He's making the cheese sauce. Cheese sauce in. And there goes down more cheese, and then your cornbread mix. And the cornbread mix is going to expand. Yeah. How could that not be good is what I'm saying. It's got the jalapenos in there. Yeah, that would be killer. This is on my list to do, actually. Will it take a long time? Absolutely. Because doing all the cheeses, doing the prep work, doing your pasta, that's going to take forever. Then you're going to do your sauce and get it going. And then you still have to put it in the oven. This is probably a 2-hour recipe. By the time you get everything said and done and on your plate, this is probably easily a 2-hour recipe. But this is, you talk about a cool Sunday meal, a hearty Sunday meal. That's it. And then the last recipe that we have this week is lemon blueberry cheesecake cookies. And I know I'm going to have to, I'm going to have to kill the audio for this one for sure. Look at these cookies. I saw these and I'm like, I got to bring those because they just look insane. Look at that. They got cheesecake in them. That's nuts. Blueberry, sugar, reduced into almost a jam, in with the cream cheese, vanilla extract, sugar, more sugar, the lemon, butter, mix, egg, more extract, flour, your jam. And it looks like she's being very intentional with the jam to make sure that there's stripes in there and that it's not all completely blended, which is cool. That's a cool aesthetic. And it makes it to where you get those big bites of blueberry, which is, preferred in my opinion. Those look amazing. And then she's putting a little dollop of, probably cheesecake. Amazing. I bet those would be 10 out of 10. And let's see. It doesn't have the full recipe, but it's got the whole recipe in the video. I just wish at the end, when she puts this into the cookie, if she would clarify like whether that was actual cheesecake or that was, just cream cheese. Let's see. Made a wonderful gluten-free mac and cheese. Ooh, yeah, definitely send that, Landa, because there's a lot of people that are looking for gluten-free recipes. That'd be really cool. So. Let me. This week, I spoiled it. We're talking about glitching the matrix again. But the difference is I'm going to try to keep the chat on a different screen so that I can be facing you while I read these stories. Let me see. There's some crazy ones on here. Very, very crazy. Let me get this going. Okay. Okay. First story is, so here I am in Romania. Out of nowhere, a cross appeared within seconds behind me in my living room. I do have the most simplistic living room with a white floor, and the cross is nothing I've seen. I'm not looking for sympathy, just need an explanation so I can go back to sleep. And it says that it is a Orthodox cross. I have a picture and video, and it doesn't look like they've uploaded that yet. But I would be pretty freaked out if a cross appeared in my bedroom too. Let's see. I think I had a time jump in 1995, and it's been haunting me ever since. Again, we're headed in on glitching the matrix stories. Buckle up, people. I recently stumbled across this subreddit, and some of the posts resonated with me. Back in 1995, I was getting ready for work at the same time I always did, probably around 7 or 7:30 a.m., just in time to arrive at work before 9 a.m. On the way to work, something felt slightly different. You know, when you're used to traffic flows or maybe the sun in the sky at a particular time of the day. I probably didn't pay too much attention to it at the time, but something did not feel quite the same as usual. When I got to work, colleagues said something like, "Nice of you to join us," and there was way more people in the office than when I usually arrive. I was clearly confused, and they pointed out that it was already past 10:30 a.m. This incident has bugged me over the years. It's never happened before or since. I have no history of mental illness whatsoever. I've never fainted or passed out at any time for any reason, and I wasn't sick with anything at the time of the incident. I don't think it's paranormal. Generally, I'm a skeptic, and I'm sure there must be an explanation of how I lost a couple hours of my life. But here I am, decades later, with no explanation. That is not what I thought he meant when he said time jump, though. I thought he was going to say like he was in a different, like in the future or something. But that is crazy. And a lot of people experience time losses. It's very common in certain areas of the United States and other areas in the world where people will experience time loss. They've actually proved out some time loss on, in places like Skinwalker Ranch where there's time variances depending on, it's not a lot. It's like seconds. But it's still a variance between, one part of the area and another part of the area. The clocks will get different. And some people think that it's, wormholes or bending of space-time because of gravity or, something man-made. I don't know. I don't think I've ever had that happen. I don't know if I know anybody that's had that happen other than we interviewed a couple that had went to Point Pleasant, West Virginia, looking for evidence of the government facilities where, close to where the Mothman was sighted back in the 70s, I think it was. And this couple went out there and they lost a couple hours, according to their account of how things happened. But maybe that's the only people I've ever met in real life that have experienced any time loss of that sort. Anywho, crazy story to get started with. Okay, next one. The title on this one is Ugly Wooden Plaque Goes AWOL. I've had several glitches over the years, but a couple stand out. This is one of the most dramatic, not least because my partner was still alive and backed me up. I was upstairs reading when I heard a bump just outside the door. I went out to see what was going on. I immediately tried on what turned out to be a picture hook. So it was obvious what had happened. Something had fallen off the wall. Here was the hook. There was the hole where it had been. There was a gap where there should be a wooden plaque. It was a crudely carved woman's face. Nothing strange so far. Only I couldn't find the plaque. Maybe it had fallen down a couple steps onto the landing. Nope, not there. My partner was out. When he got back, I dragged him up the stairs, pointed to the gap, and asked if he could remember what used to be there. He said, yes, that ugly wooden plaque. And that was that. Plaque fell, bump, hook left behind, but the plaque was gone. Nothing I could do. It annoyed me. I liked that plaque. It was ugly, but it had certain charm. Months passed, maybe years. I wasn't keeping track. Then one day I was downstairs in the living room looking through a box that had sat there neglected since we moved in several years ago. Literally hadn't been touched since. I was bored and wanted to know what was in it. You're ahead of me, I know. Right at the bottom, under things I hadn't seen for years, was the plaque. I mean, how? I don't blame you if you don't believe it. I don't believe it myself. It hurts my brain thinking about it. The plaque that I heard falling off the wall, leaving a picture hook behind on the floor, turned up months later in a different room on a different story in a box that hadn't been opened for years. Partner confirmed that plaque had, in fact, been hung on the wall upstairs. That's kind of crazy. I believe that. That doesn't seem too extraordinary. Just because people have stuff like this happen all the time where things teleport or, you misplace something and you find it years later in a place that doesn't make any sense. I've had that happen. I don't have an explanation, but, I don't think it's crazy because this person also had a corroborator on his story. Let's see. What do we got next? Water bottle changed location. This is from 4 hours ago. This isn't a long one. Okay. What just happened? I walked into my bedroom, picked up my water bottle off the nightstand, which is right beside my bed. I sit down on my bed, take a big sip of water, then put my water bottle back on the nightstand. 2 seconds later, and with water still in my mouth, I look at the nightstand to see what else is on it. The water bottle is not there. I've not gotten up out of my bed since I took the sip of water, but the water bottle is now on top of my dresser, way on the other side of the room. Somebody commented and said, I'm a fan of the glitch in the Matrix experience, but I'm reminded to suggest you check your carbon monoxide monitors if you have them. I remember a recent run of posts in various subs making the point that the presence of carbon monoxide can mess with your mind and memory. That's a good point. I don't know though. I could get behind that as much as the picture. Okay, so that's the water bottle, but listen to this. This one is I walked on water. Buckle up because this one is actually a kind of a lengthy one. Let me go ahead and put it in here. Okay, so glitch in the Matrix thread. This is from 2 days ago, and it says I walked on water. The handle for this one is 13 kittens and counting. That's a lot of kittens. Okay. I know this sounds absolutely absurd, and I promise I'm not making it up or crazy. For a long time, I was in as much disbelief as you probably are reading the headline. I am in disbelief, maybe a healthy skepticism. I also want to promise I was not having some sort of psychotic break or hallucination. I only have one other witness, which is my husband, but he remembers it a little differently than I do. A few years ago, me and my husband were staying at a cheap hotel near Pittsburgh. She walked on water in Pittsburgh. Staying at a cheap hotel in Pittsburgh because he had to go there for a manager meeting. And we decided to stay a few extra days because we really liked the city and decided we wanted to see a few other attractions that his conference or when his conference was over. This hotel had a standard indoor pool, 3 to 7 feet deep, with a ladder and a staircase into the pool. Here's my perspective. As he was drying off to go get some snacks from the lobby for us, I decided to try to jump into the deep end of the pool because I haven't done that since I was a kid. I was also the only one there. While he was drying himself off on the chairs, the shorter side of the pool, I walked over to the deep and was hopping myself up to jump. For some reason, as I stood on the side of the pool, I had a weird detachment from reality or something of the sort. This is what I would call the glitch. I had a sudden third-person perspective of myself, like I was piloting myself directly above, and I had awareness of my body. What's up? What's up? What's up? I'm glad you made it. Okay. So, I had an awareness of my body, my face, and parts of myself I couldn't see from above, but I had a weird telepathic knowing sense or something. Like when you're dreaming and you just know what everyone around you looks like without actually seeing it. I had sort of a diamond or weird trapezoid kind of shape in my head, and I wasn't afraid at all. It was just like, yeah, that's the floating mind diamond, obviously. Not a second thought about it. And I remember feeling that like the laws of the universe meant that could never fall. It's getting kind of weird. I could never drop it. So obviously I could walk onto the water like a surface, and just that's how it was, I guess. It felt like the physics and laws of space were different, but also that they had always been that way. It came naturally to me, like how you feel gravity comes naturally like any other force. Like I had known these reality rules my whole life. I guess that's the best way to put it. So I walked onto the water to do my dive and just stepped forward and felt a sort of particle barrier or something between the bottom of my foot and the water surface. And all this time, I'm still not questioning anything. Like, yeah, obviously that's how that works kind of feeling. Our perspectives break here. For me, I walked onto the water. I walked onto the water. It was like, oh, now I can't dive. And as if I remember a part of this reality's physics, it broke. And I was pulled back to this world where I was suddenly hit with a rush of adrenaline as I knew I was going to fall into the water, which I obviously did. In this moment of realization, I heard a cracking sound like a really muted, high-pitched thunder, or like someone stepping on a twig. That entire realization, adrenaline, and fall took less than a second. Just snap and back to normal. I came up out of the water to look at my husband, who had sort of a confused, what the F look on his face, almost like anger or disgust mixed with complete and total confusion. I looked back trying to figure out what had happened, but his perspective is that I walked over to the other end of the pool and he heard a weird hum sound, like a low-pitched flute mixed with noises you hear when you put your headphones on head on somebody's stomach and hear their digestion. He looked at me expecting me to also be looking around confused, but he saw me acting completely normal. I then stepped onto the water and started walking out to the middle of the pool, as I also remember. Then he heard a snap and saw something that appeared like a really small lightning above my head as I fell. We remember everything the same, except he remembered that weird humming and that I have no recollection of. And the light I obviously didn't see above my head, but we both remember the sound. Anyway, we told the story to my mom, who's very much the woo-woo witchy type, And she said I snapped into somewhere else, but my body was here and was doing the same thing that I was doing there because I had accidentally made myself split into two places at once. I don't disbelieve that entirely because that's not what it felt like. Or she said, I don't believe that entirely because it's not what it felt like. It felt completely real. And if my husband hadn't witnessed it, I would have thought I had some kind of psychotic break or depersonalization episode. But he saw it too and told me everything exactly as I remember before I told him what I had felt, minus the detail of the hum. Any idea what this could be? I still don't feel right years later. The comments are crazy. Forbidden Sims trapezoid digestion flute. Yeah, that's kind of crazy. That's a crazy story. Lord have mercy. I'm going to save that one so I can send it out in the spam mail. And if you've hung out with us this far in the Glitch in the Matrix stuff, don't forget to give me a follow if you care about crazy stories or food. You can go here. You can choose what we talk about next week, share your crazy stories, recipes, and get on the mailing list that I'm talking about. The recipes this week, there's actually one from Morgana that is going to be on the spam mail. So I'm excited to send that out too. But let's see if we can get a couple more in. You have the digestion flute, Landa. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, Carrie, I'm glad that you're able to make it. I haven't seen you in a minute. Let me see. Okay, it's not that. It's not that. Let's see if I can get a good one. Da, 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 da. Okay, this looks like a pretty good one. Everyone in the grocery store froze at the exact same time, reacting to something that I completely missed. I don't know how to explain this properly, but something happened earlier today that didn't feel normal at all. I was at a small grocery store near my place, just picking up a few things. It was pretty quiet out, maybe 6 or 7 other people inside. Was walking down one of the aisles when something incredibly strange happened. At the exact same moment, everybody in the store stopped. Not gradually, not one by one, all at once. And in between one by one and all at once, there is a big long dash that makes me wonder if this is a Chat GPT story, but I digress. A woman near the shelves froze mid-step. A guy holding a basket paused like he had just forgotten what he was doing, and even the cashier looked up from the counter. It only lasted for maybe a second, but it was very clear that they weren't just pausing randomly. They were all reacting to something. The weird part is that nothing actually happened. There was no loud noise, nothing fell, and there was no announcement. There was absolutely nothing that I could see or hear to trigger it. I just kept walking just a little slower, looking around to try to figure out what they had all reacted to. Then, as suddenly as it started, everything went back to normal. The woman kept walking, the guy moved again, and the cashier went back to what he was doing like absolutely nothing had happened. No one looked confused or said a word. It was like they had all experienced something simultaneously, and I was entirely left out of it. I stood there a few seconds trying to process it before going to the counter to pay. Almost didn't say anything, but ended up asking the cashier if everything was okay. He looked at me like I was the one acting strange and said, "Yeah, why?" I didn't know what to say after that, so I just left. But even now, I can't stop thinking about it. It wasn't just a coincidence. It was way too synchronized and exact. The timing was perfect. Has anyone else ever experienced a collective pause like this where they were the only one unaffected? Yeah. So there was a response that says, I was an active participant in a situation like this at a stoplight. Stoplight turned green and everyone just sat there. It felt like a trance, like a group trance, weird event, and I'll never forget. I've definitely had moments like this where everything just stops for a second. Same thing with the stoplights. Literally this week, light turns green, and we probably sat there 15 seconds. Nobody honked our horn or anything, and I was just tired. So maybe everybody was just tired. It is a weird glitch. I don't know that I would consider it a glitch though. It'd be different if it was like a 10, 15-second pause, but the submitter said 1 second. A 1 second pause doesn't seem too crazy to me, but I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. It is weird. I'm sure it was creepy, but I don't know if it's a true glitch in the Matrix. And let's see. I'll find a short one to end on here. Shorty. Okay. One day ago, the weirdest reappearing object yet. The submitter says, I've shared a few stories on here, but this new one takes the cake. I moved into my boyfriend's childhood home a few years ago. Let me start by saying it's an odd thing to live in a home that is filled with 50 plus years of someone else's memories, belongings, and photos. I feel the presence of his parents at all times. About 2 years ago, I completely gutted the garage and organized all the tools which belonged to his father. There was a heavy-duty staple gun which I hung on a hook on one of those pegboards. It's on that is in a lot of people's garages. The only memorable feature of that gun was that it still had the faded remnant of an old sticker on it, like a price tag. Last summer, we repaired the floor in a separate shed, and I took the staple gun out there to fasten rubber mats to the floor. I have no idea where I set it down at beyond that, but I clearly didn't return it to the pegboard in the garage. Fast forward to winter. I needed a staple gun for a project and searched the entire shed and garage multiple times. It was a source of frustration for literally weeks. I was too stubborn to buy a staple gun when I knew for certain that there was already one around the house. So I put that project on the back burner. I asked my boyfriend about it many times, and he says he never saw the stapler at all and had no idea what I was talking about. He's not really too handy and doesn't mess with tools or fix things around the house. That's my department. Just like it had been in his father's department when he was alive. If boyfriend had used a stapler, it would have been memorable, and he also rarely puts things away after using them. Eventually, after I'd searched everywhere, including inside the house, and I decided that it was just simply gone. I begrudgingly bought a cheap replacement at Harbor Freight. Fast forward again. Yesterday, I went out to the shed to look for some penetrating oil in the cabinet. There's built-ins in the shed that are pretty much just kitchen cabinets, complete with a kitchen counter that's used as a workbench. On the corner of the kitchen counter where I do everything all the time is an antique cardboard box. Arrow T50 heavy-duty all-purpose staple gun tacker. Immediately, I'm like, what the F? I've cleaned and organized the shed. I've worked in the shed and have searched through everything multiple times looking for the staple gun, and I've never seen this box in my life. I slid the cover off, and indeed, there's a shiny Arrow staple gun in the box, complete with the faded price tag sticker. I ran into the house. I asked if he had found it and put it on the box in the counter. This would be so unlike him to do, but anyway, he had no idea what I was even talking about. He was never privy to the emotional turmoil that I had been going through for months over this stapler. That's crazy. You know, if you're living in old houses like that, maybe the people that aren't living there anymore gave it a nudge. There's definitely spookier stuff that's happened with stuff moving and disappearing and reappearing that are paranormally involved. But yeah, some good glitch in the Matrix stories this week. And I think that's all I got for the week, honestly. I appreciate everybody who jumped on. I'm sorry I had some audio issues in the beginning. Hopefully, eye contact was better this week with the reading of the stories. I'm trying to get it to where I'm not having to like look off into the distance for half the show. But I appreciate everybody jumping on. Don't forget to get on here, choose our next adventure for next week. Share your stories, share your recipes, get on the mailing list, go follow everywhere. And thanks for hanging out with me another week. This is episode 12. So we're in it. We're in it. Before you know it, we're going to be on episode 5,000. But anywho, you all have a wonderful weekend. And until next time, start time on the other show tomorrow is going to be at 8 p.m. I'll throw that out there now. But anywho, you'll have a great weekend if I don't see you or if I don't talk to you. And until next week, we'll see you.